Would you advise people to delete these short form videos?
Oh my God, yes. Of course, yes. That would the most important thing you can do for your intelligence and for humanity would be delete them. So what I advise my students to do is I say, just do this. Just delete one of the social media apps that you use, especially if it's TikTok. Just delete from your phone. You can still check on your computer. If someone sends you a video, you can still watch it on your computer. You can even check it, every weekend. You can spend some time on it. But just get it off your phone. Because on the phone is always with us. It's an extension of our body. And if it's always there, then it's going to take it's called attention fracking. It's going to break up your attention. It's going to take every 7 seconds that you're not doing something, you're going to go for the phone. So the best thing you can do to make yourself smarter and a better partner and a better human, I would say would be to delete especially any of the short form videos, so TikTok. Unfortunately, YouTube, which has a lot of good stuff on it, becomes YouTube Shorts. Instagram, which does a lot of terrible things, but people do find it useful for all kinds of purposes, becomes Instagram Reels. So I think the proper amount of short form video for children 0 to 18 is 0. They should never be watching the vertical videos. Parents, don't ever let your kids watch the short vertical videos. You might even, if only there was a way to put it, is there a way to put a time limit where you can say it has to be 10 minutes or longer? Kids, you can have an hour of YouTube, but it has to be 10 minutes or longer, nothing shorter than 10 minutes. That at least will get rid of the quick swiping, the dopamine stuff.
So I would say that for kids, yes, not engaging it whatsoever. But for someone, my approach is a little bit different for someone who's like in their 30s or in their 40s. And the way I would kind of frame that is instead of renouncing, saying I'm going to get it off my device and I'm going to check on a desktop, which is great, there's little kind of tweaks that we could do because my approach is to foster that sense of empowerment in someone to help them make positive change. And so one strategy that you could use if you are saying, there's no way I'm getting rid of I'm not deleting these apps from my phone, right? By the way, I practice what I preach and I really don't engage in technology as to the best of my ability. But one thing that you could do is grayscale your phone. And so especially at night, like it's 9 p.m., like we talked about revenge bedtime procrastination, you know that you're going to do it. You're going to sit down and you're going to scroll and before you know it, it's 2 a.m. Instead, grayscale your phone. This simple switch, you can toggle it. I have my phone set to grayscale, which simply means that you're getting rid of your color, making it black and white. And so when it is grayscaled, then it doesn't have that same addictive quality to it. It's like going through a grocery store. A marketing executive described it this way to me. Going through a grocery store, instead of the Technicolor junk food cereal, it's just black and white. So you have there's a greater sense of compulsion to continue checking. So that's like one strategy you could use. And the other is to set some boundaries. So geographical boundaries, keep your phone out of your arm's reach. If you're at a desk, if you're a student, not right next to you, because we know there's this phenomenon of brain drain. So it's not just that when you're using your phone, it can have a potential distraction, but also just having it close by. It's called brain drain. And so putting it in a desk drawer, keeping it in another part of the home if you are working, keeping it far away from you. And so you kind of can override that primal urge to scroll, let your prefrontal cortex take hold again. And so there's all these small tweaks that you can do. You think no?
Yes, there are all these small tweaks you can do, and they will make the heroin a little bit less addictive. And yeah, you should try those. But what I can say after teaching this course for many years is that people who try that, they report, it helped. It helped. But you only really get the transformation when you quit social media. That you get your life back, you get hours a day back. So I would urge everyone to just think, you only get one childhood, you only get one young adulthood. And if you're going to spend it scrolling, what do you have to show for it at the end? And when you get people to reflect on, well, how much value do you really get from watching the short videos? How would your life be different if you knocked it out? Once they realize that their motives for being on it were either just to keep up or because that's what everyone else is doing, or as you said, I deserve it because I'm tired. Well, why are you tired? It's in part because your attention was fragmented all day long. So you only really get the transformations when you get a real change in what you're consuming. Although, of course, yes, setting it to grace will be helpful, but it's not going to be transformative for most people, I believe.
And then, based on the science, there's certain elements, like when we think about what is it about the phone that is creating that sense of compulsion. Jonathan is right. So what is it about the phone? It's not just the phone, you're scrolling, you're engaging. There are 2 studies that were really interesting. One, people got off of, they continued to use their devices. They had no internet. So it's like, I tried this experiment. myself in December. I was out of the country. And so I just let I didn't plug into Wi-Fi. And I found, a marked change in my mood, my sleep. And I'm not even, 20 years old on TikTok. And it was so different. And so the study found that just 2 weeks of continuing to use your device, but just not having internet access, improved your attention, well-being, and mental health. And in this population, it was all adults. It wasn't kids. It was all adults. Found that 91% of people had an improvement in at least one of these metrics. And then another study more recently, just 1 week of not engaging in social media, a digital detox they called it, did the same thing. Better, less anxiety, less depression, decreased insomnia. But my feeling is that, there is this new kind of meme, right? Like the millennial urge to delete my internet presence and live off the grid. There is certainly utility to that. And I salute anyone who wants to engage in that analog life more and more. From where I sit, I feel like we do need to have healthier boundaries and engage more responsibly. It also builds up that muscle, and it can help, it takes 8 weeks to do. Neuroplasticity, when you're building new brain circuits, it takes 8 weeks. Falling off, getting back up is part of habit formation. So if you're going to make any of these changes, understand that it takes some time. But I don't know if it is possible for me or for others to say fully, I'm going to, delete off of my phone. I love that.
Okay. So I'd like to go a little further with this. The way you put it, yes, there's all these things that we could do. We should have boundaries, but all of that puts the responsibility on us.
Agreed.
And that's where we are with junk food. With junk food, we're like, okay, it's out there. We have to learn self-control. We have to teach self-control to our kids. Okay, that's the way it is in this country. But the digital devices, I think, are very, very different. So imagine if we sent our kids out into the world and it wasn't just that there was junk food in all the stores. It was that everything was made of junk food. Door handles, you can eat it, it's chocolate. But it's not just that the world's made of junk food. They actually can tell, they're able to tell what you're craving at the moment. And maybe you're more in the mood for salt. So now it's all potato chips or pretzels.